So recently there's been a lot of chat about era servers and fresh classic WoW servers in the downtime between Cataclysm Classic, Season of Discovery and Retail WoW. So much so that we've seen the organisation by players for the experience of fresh vanilla WoW servers, with a phase system set in place for the rate at which players can do content, alongside 2 servers being designated for players to sign up on Discord and join, in an attempt to emulate what would feel like fresh vanilla WoW servers. And the shout for fresh servers is one that comes around and pretty often, alongside the chat for the addition of Burning Crusade and Wrath era servers, making it seem more and more that as time goes on, classic WoW is in need of some fresh servers at some point in the future. As for a lot of players, it does seem that nothing quite hits the sweet spot in the same way that fresh vanilla servers do, or a fresh stab at Wrath or BC. So it's fair to ask the question, does classic WoW need fresh servers? Let's take a look. But just before we jump in, feel free to like and subscribe if you're new here, as it helps me out a bunch. So thanks very much indeed. Now, let's get on with it. Now once again, just to summarise, the movement for this fresh vanilla server experience has come in the form of the classic player base, organising the event themselves much like we saw with Hardcore Classic. And the fresh server experience is taking place on Deviant Delight for NA and Zandalar Tribute on EU if you're interested in getting involved. And I think the shouts for fresh servers come about for multiple reasons, with some being as simple as a lot of players look back at the 5 years we've now had in classic WoW, taking us through the original trilogy and Cata, and well, they just missed out on certain launches for various parts of the experience, even vanilla. And whilst you can still play vanilla era, fresh servers provide everyone with that even playing field, as well as that initial boost in excitement, community, socialization, all due to the fact there is so much ahead of you to go through. And given it's been 5 years since classic vanilla's release, I do think that these fresh servers will likely be on the horizon at some point, as there is always a pull towards vanilla WoW throughout the past 20 years. And whilst yes, technically like mentioned, we do have vanilla era to go and see this, the counter is that fresh servers provide not only the flat out restart for everyone, but also you have to work together once again to progress, in terms of things like the benefit to a complete currency and economy reset, where items on the auction house aren't going to be going for crazy prices anymore, or additions like if everyone is lower level, lots of players will be doing quests that require groups or running lower level dungeons, really giving a feel of what a full world should feel like when leveling in comparison to vanilla era in its current state. But for existing players or ones that lived through the original experience, there are lots of us who would still like to go back again. Personally for me, I'd not just enjoy fresh servers, but a true progression from vanilla through to Wrath again, maybe to tide us over when we do get that low tide of content for the current versions of WoW. For example, at this current moment, I've raided as much as I'd like to in Cataclysm Classic, and also goes the same for Retail WoW. So at this point, I'm just waiting for Firelands and the War Within. And although we've just entered Phase 4 for Season of Discovery, it's also noted that the raids still aren't due for a few weeks, and at that the raids are just Molten Core and Onyxia's Lair anyway. And the truth is, because of all of that, I've just not really been playing WoW these past few weeks, as there isn't much pulling me in at the moment, and some fresh servers would have been fantastic if it wasn't for Phase 4's release, as the past few weeks have seen more downtime than usual in WoW, and in a time where I would probably have been interested in playing say Burning Crusade, Wrath or Vanilla Fresh, I've instead been playing Diablo 2 a game I can happily revisit year after year. And that feeling of being happy to visit a game you've played through multiple times, that's also pretty old, yet proves it still has its charm and works really well, is the same thing that draws people back to the original trilogy of WoW, but especially vanilla. And starting fresh is like that new character feeling. There's so much ahead of you, there's no bloat, and all that excitement is instilled in a different way, as everyone is there on the same wavelength. And similar to the shouts of Burning Crusade era realms, much like with vanilla, people can't label the demand for these just as nostalgia anymore. There's been too much of a repetitive success, mainly for vanilla and classic WoW overall, to prove that it's just a great game, much like Diablo's 2 pull on me for the past 20 years. Now whilst that all might sound great from a romantic point of view, sadly I think it's time for a dose of reality in many ways. Things aren't quite as straightforward as just opening up vanilla fresh servers and hey presto, everyone is happy. We have to start questioning what actually would these Blizzard fresh servers be, and who is it mainly going to appeal to? Are these fresh vanilla servers with no changes only, or do we progress through to Burning Crusade and Wrath also to provide some longevity? And then what about the people who start to murmur again saying, hey, Cata actually wasn't that bad, give us it again? Does progression stop at Wrath or does it just keep going? If it's progression, do we get Burning Crusade and Wrath era servers along the way unlike before? Or is this literally just going to be vanilla servers that might give us a month of fun, but then sadly become stagnant over time, till people want more fresh servers and carry on raging that we don't have Burning Crusade realms again yet? And well, how many changes come with these servers? There's a whole host of questions that come along putting up fresh servers before Blizzard can simply make some, and ultimately it's always going to leave a lot of people rather unhappy in some way. We also have to speak about play choice in WoW. At the moment we have a lot of versions going for the game, and if there's there's demand for fresh vanilla, BC era and Wrath era alongside classic progression, and then still a demand for classic plus, are we then getting to the point where there's almost too many choices or decisions to make for anyone who is even potentially new just getting confused and decides to not bother? But in saying that, I don't think the fear of what might go wrong can always be the thing that draws to a halt what the player base is actually wanting. Setting up fresh servers, whether that be era realms for Burning Crusade and Wrath alongside some fresh vanilla, or just fresh vanilla, would be a good choice in the future to give the option during the downtime. And there are some people who say servers like this can split the player base even further, but the truth is you can't split players that cancel their subscription and leave to go play player created realms, to put it politely if you get what I mean. Overall, I'd still argue that at some point Classic WoW does need fresh servers to give everyone a breath of fresh air in many ways, as well as attract some new players who missed the boat the first time with Classic. But that time isn't right now in my opinion. We have a lot going on with Season of Discovery Phase 4, to be followed by the War Within's release for retail and Firelands for Cataclysm Classic, and like I said, fresh era realms are a great time for when there is a low tide of content. And right now the content tide is fairly high. I could easily see fresh or era realms maybe around the start of 2025 when Cataclysm Classic is being wrapped up in Dragon Soul, likely with Season of Discovery also drawing to a close, and the War Within being true and well in full swing. And I highly doubt we will have any form or teaser of Classic Plus in early 2025. And it could be argued Classic fans and maybe some retail fans or fans of both like myself will need something familiar and much loved around that time to keep us going. And I think fresh vanilla and BC and Wrath era realms could all be that sort of thing. But let me know what you think. Are you in favour of fresh realms in the future at some point? Or do you think players simply now need to move on? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Yet as always, take care out there, and I'll see you on the next one. As always, if you're new here, feel free to like and subscribe. And on that note, I think I'll say ta-ra for now, and I'll see you later.